In 1972, a young Samuel Alito wrote in his Princeton University yearbook autobiography that he hoped one day to eventually warm a seat on the Supreme Court. 5 decades later, Alito not only sits on the nation's highest bench authoring landmark conservative opinions, but he is also the second richest of its 9 justices. Forbes estimates Alito's net worth to be $10 million, behind only Chief Justice John Roberts, $25 million, and well ahead of, say, Neil Gorsuch, $8 million, who raked in millions in private practice, or Sonia Sotomayor, $5 million, who wrote books that made her wealthy. How is it that Alito, who has worked for the government since the 1970s and never signed a book deal, became so well off? He benefited from the oldest money-making trick in the book, inheritance. Worth a comparatively modest $2 million when he took his seat in 2006, Alito's net worth ballooned in the 2010s following the deaths of his wife's father and his own mother. Today, he owns 2 homes and sits on an investment portfolio worth an estimated $5 million. It includes holdings in more than 24 publicly traded companies, including Boeing, ConocoPhillips, Anheuser-Busch and Raytheon. Most first showed up on his disclosures following those inheritances, but he's bought and sold shares occasionally in the past few years. The 73-year-old also has a generous judicial pension that rounds out his assets. Born in Trenton, New Jersey in 1950, Alito was raised middle class by parents whose families had recently immigrated from Italy. His mother was a teacher who became a principal, and his father worked as a cryptologist during World War II, an English teacher and the head of the Office of Legislative Services in the state legislature. He later credited his father with teaching him to write and his mother with inspiring a love of learning, which took him just up the road to Princeton in 1968. When he arrived at the Ivy League school, Alito was taken aback by his fellow students' progressive ideas. There was a feeling that there was something wrong with their parents' values and with the kind of lives that their parents lived, that their parents had sold out, that they had become affluent by taking advantage of other people and they had bad values, he told an Italian-American publication in 2016. I didn't feel that way at all. Alito was also skeptical of protests against the Vietnam War, taking issue with antipathy toward the United States, and those criticizing soldiers. The budding conservative developed an interest in constitutional law around the same time. Motivated in large part by disagreement with Warren Court decisions, he later wrote, and was inspired to go to Yale Law School in 1972 by judicial restraint advocates of the time. There, Alito edited the Yale Law Review and tried both public defender work and private practice during his summers.